Good morning, everyone. We are going to start our discussion on the poem The Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard by Thomas Gray. Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard by Thomas Gray. Once again, we are with yet another poet from the transitional sector. Transitional. He is one of the transitional poets of English literature or English literary tradition. Um, you may go to more biographical details of the writer later, but more than that, transitional period as a whole, hope you remember, it's not completely going for turning towards nature. Unlike romantic writers, romantic criticism, romantic school of poetry, they are somewhere stuck in between the social problems or scenario, social scenario, political and social issues popping up in England or Britain during that time. The Western Hemisphere, the whole scenario, the social changes as such, have been affecting the writers and their selecting the topics and themes. And you can see the same with the Grey as well. It's not completely about the completely immersed in writings about nature or themes, selecting themes or talking about nature, but somewhere we can see they are addressing certain crucial social issues. Hope you remember with the Blake what happens. It's not just about childhood. It's not just about a romantic picturization of childhood, but how a child suffers, how a group of children suffer, child labor, the problems between the haves and have-nots, exploitation of a sect of humanity in general. So this is the way it happens. That goes in that way. And so with this poet as well, Thomas Gray also we see in this poem or any other writings you take, you can see these writers addressing the problems in a very different way, but their writings are not like a social pamphlet. It holds the literary quality. There is no doubt for that. When you read this poem, you can see that much quality of literature, the combination, the literary devices is rich with literary devices and literariness. It's not the kind of language that you see in a newspaper or a scientific article. It holds the literary quality, but definitely it's not completely. The poet can not completely immerse himself in nature, because definitely the time in which he is living is with a lot of problems all around. So any writer with a minimum social or political commitment cannot shut their eyes completely. A writer cannot shut his or her eyes completely when they witness all these problems all around. After all, art is basically about representing the, or basically, or at least at a part of it, we can see representing or addressing the social and political issues. Of course, you can completely go for writing fantasy or adventures which do not have anything to do with your realities all around. But these writers couldn't do that completely. So their writings, their themes, subject matters reflect that kind of theme. Now we are moving directly to this poem, Elegy Written in a Country Churchyard by Thomas Gray, one of the transitional poets. And before moving to the poem, as usual, we used it to do with the four other poems. We read the whole poem completely before starting the explanation. But as this is with a poem comprising of some 32 stanzas, 4 lines each. In each stanza comprising 4 lines. Means 32 into 4 is equal to 128 lines totally. In total, you can see 128 lines. We are going to deal with that much. 32 stanzas, 4 lines each, means 32 into 4 is equal to 128. So this is the way. Okay. So this is what we are going to deal today. 128 line for the whole poem. And definitely, I would like to be very frank, it took me 10 to 1:30 till midnight to prepare for the set. Actually, it's not about dealing with the same poem at a UG level and at a BPG level. It is different. When we prepare it for some other examination, we have some vast notes. To make it fit to the context of a UG program is another difficulty or another challenge. And that's why preparation takes time. And now, let me just go for the whole of the poem first, instead of reading the poem as such. But what is happening here? What is actually what the poet tells completely? How can we make a whole picture of the poem? At least as we usually say, it's good that we know what it is all about. When we teach you grammar, why should we have all these 12 tenses? What do you mean by these parts of speech? Why do we need all these tenses? So we know why they are required, why this much division. What's the relevance of those? So that learning becomes very funny. At least you feel that yes, this is needed, this is good. In the same way, we're going to see what this whole poem, what does this poet see in all these 32 stanzas and 128 lines together. Why does he write a poem? Why this much length? All the other poems are just 14 lines, sometimes it's less than 14 lines, sometimes it's just 30 lines, but this man wrote it in 128 lines, 32 stanzas. We will have to see what does he mean, or what did he intend with all this. So that's what you're going to get here. I've taken this notes from another study material. So yeah, introduction. First, actually, what is the whole picture that you're going to get here? Hope all people are there in the meeting. Yes. The presentation is there for you. It's clear. Hope the presentation is there for you. It's clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Introduction. Actually, we don't have to do in this way. Normally, in drama-based notes, we go for making such introduction, rising action, climax, falling. Nothing. Actually, in a poem, we do not go for. Usually, we do not go for that. But today, with this poem, we are going to make use of such a method, organizing, to make things very clear. The very beginning itself, we are going to build the basic idea, a whole structure of this poem. To get the whole structure of the poem will help you to look into the details. This is the only way possible actually. Otherwise, I will be reading the whole poem, taking some 15 minutes in the very beginning, which will be a guarantee. I guarantee that it will be a waste of time. Because we will feel like, oof, we will go astray, we will not be able to concentrate. Yes, some words are archaic words, not even the modern words, but archaic words. Some usages. That's another difficulty. Some words we may know the meaning, very common, readily available meaning, but that will not even help you out here. We'll get you examples later once we discuss that. Those meanings may not help you because in the context of that line, particular lines, those take another meaning. Sometimes a meaning which is not that familiar for you. That's all. But we need those meanings to get the real picture of the poem. That's why it's good that not just with this form, but with any lengthy writing, whether poetry or any other type of literary genre, it's advisable that if you have that kind of a writing prescribed for you, definitely you have to learn that with a with an examination point of view. So obviously you have to write answers. Sometimes are very short answers. Those are really difficult in the case of such lengthy writings. You have to look into the nooks and corners. You cannot leave out anything. In poetry, you can expect annotation questions. Means you are given some 4 or 5 lines of a poem. And you have to, it's taken out of its context and you have to write down something about it. The way I gave you that assignment question last time. Like you're taking just one part of a poem and you're taking another novel which is not actually familiar, which may not be really familiar to. I don't know whether you have or some of you have read that novel. Even in that case, it's just about taking some extracts and trying to connect them. One is a poetry, one is a poem, the other is a novel. But you're taking that, the certain ideas, and you're trying to connect. The same way, you have it here. Annotation questions. It's not a challenging one, but still comparatively difficult. That's why it's good that you take the clear picture in general. Now, the whole idea building with this kind of a very short note. First time we see the speaker. He stands in a country churchyard at dusk. This is what you see. Usually we say the speaker or the poet, but here, yeah, you take the speaker, you can mention the person to be a speaker or the poet, whichever it may be, it's good, it's fine. But here, in the note as it is, it goes like this. Let me read out in that way. So the speaker stands in a country churchyard at dusk. This is what you see in the very beginning. What do you mean by this country churchyard? This is the title of our poem. Elegy written in a country churchyard. And what about this elegy? That form you are not really unfamiliar with. Elegy. What do you mean by elegy? Hope you know what an elegy is. Right?
Lamented one.
Obviously, very good. Lamenting one's death. Actually, that's what you mean by elegy. It can be long or short. It should not be always in some 120 or 130 lines. It's lamenting. Obviously, you have a kind of sorrow over someone's death. So you would like to pay respect to that person. And you write down. You make use of your creative skill. And you write down an elegy. So it's one of the literary types or poetic types. Like you learn about sonnet, lyrics, everything. Now you know how many types are there. And many more are there. Are those literary types prescribed for you? Had been explained to you. You are given notes on that. And many other types also can be there. So that here we can see this speaker standing in a country churchyard at dusk. D-U-S-K, dusk. Just means, yeah, evening falling. See, morning is going away and it's evening time falling. It's going to be night. So obviously, the evening time, during the evening time, we can see a person, a speaker or a poet. Later, we will mention about him as the poet himself in this form. It will have it that will happen. But now you can see a person standing in a country churchyard at dusk. Country churchyard. Elegy written in a country churchyard means it's a churchyard. Okay, you can see with the see certain religions they bury the people dead ones in the holy shrines. Like sometimes it's see think about the church, mosque, the burial ground. Stay near or at least in the yard of these religious shrines practicing people go for worshipping. So you can see sometimes at least with most of the churches you can see certain cemeteries attached, staying near as attachment. In the yard or backside you can see a cemetery attached. So here also you can see the same kind of a country church here. Country here it stands for village, nothing else. And you have to note down in the very beginning that this writer, being a transitional poet, is not going to write down this elegy to pay respect to any of the kings or queens or any of the great men, but on the poor people, for the poor people in the village who are deprived of everything, who are not rich, who are not really great or famous. And that's the different take of such writers. They are concerned about the lower class people, lower sector of the lower stratas of the society in general. So you have to visualize a person standing, actually a poet standing near in a country churchyard at dusk. It's evening time. And his thoughts, the thoughts that are there in his mind, are going to comprise the next few stanzas of the poem. He watches as the countryside readies for night. Think about any village or any area resided by or occupied by human beings, people all around. You can expect the countryside. At evening, you can see the major view you can have at the time of dusk. Maybe those people working for earning bread, the breadwinners of the family, coming back or going back to home after the hard work for earning for themselves and for the family. So that is the major sight of every village, country or village area where people are living, not actually having a very luxurious or financially they are not sound, but they have to go for work on a daily life basis to earn something. So you can definitely see these people coming back home from their workplaces, and this is how he watches the countryside readies for night. Now you have to visualize this person is standing near a country churchyard where a lot of people are staying buried and many people are coming back to home after their daytime works. Now, he considers the simple lives of the village dead. That is how the whole poem, the first few stanzas of the poem present in itself. Like the consider how then when he sees these people coming back from work, they're going to home, they're going back to their own homes. He reflects upon them, he thinks about them, or those people who are already there, like these, the one whom he sees now, he sees a lot of people coming back, very simple people of the village. And now he thinks about those who had been there like them in the past, who are dead actually, but of the same village with the same kind of simple lives. He reflects on how everyone dies, great or humble. And how this becomes an elegy is, this is the line that we took in connection with Ozymandias. Path of Glory, do you remember that line? I'll show you. It's a very famous line of this poem.
Paths of
Yeah,
glory lead but to the
exactly. This
grave.
is it. This is it. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. It's a ninth stanza only. But wherever you take, you can find out the relevance, the universal, the meaning that can be attached with that particular line. It's not just with a grey, it's not just with the simple villagers, but with you, me, everyone all around us. The paths of glory lead but to the grave. Paths of glory lead but to the grave means everyone will end up at the end, everyone will go to the grave, nowhere else. Your glory, your fame, your richness, your financial status, nothing will matter. Your brilliance, your achievements, everything will lead you but to the grave at the end. So this is the form, but that's not actually very pessimistic. It should not be taken in a very pessimistic tone. He's giving us a very simple truth about life, because life and death, those are intricately connected. You can never separate those. Your fear over death will not help to overcome that. Any human techniques, any human attempts, you can praise about your technology. You can praise about the kind of all those machineries, medical growth in medical field everywhere, but no one can transcend. You can not beat death. That's it. So this is a reality that we have to take for granted actually. Okay, so this is the same thing happens. It reflects on how everyone dies, great or humble. And he would like to write down such an elegy on those humble ones. Yes, on kings and queens. Many writers have already written. So why should I spend my time to add more to that? I would like to write down, I would like to reflect. Actually, the poet would like to reflect upon or write an elegy upon those simple lives. Those simple lives. The village dead, already dead, and how they had been working, how they had been earning, how their simplicity itself had been giving them a kind of happiness. And later, yeah, so and again he will think a lot about their lives, everything in general. Okay, so that's how the first few stanzas of the poem will read like. Now, now you can connect. Hope you can connect when it is needed, when I read out the poem. Then to the climax, you can see as death approaches, he thinks, All hope to be remembered. All hope to be remembered because actually no one wants to be erased into the dungeon of oblivion, forgetfulness. Actually everyone would like to be remembered. No one wants to be forgotten after their death. As a monument, they want to be remembered. They would like to be remembered, at least something to be erected in their memory, in view of their memory, like tomb on tomb, something to be written. This is the way you prefer. Everyone prefers that. So this is why he imagines how he might be recalled after death. And later he will think about his own death. And after the death, as another person recalling about him. And this is how he imagines about his own death. Then the resolution will look like he imagines the verse on his headstone. Actually, the epitaph of the poem will read out in that way. Imagines the verse on his headstone. So this is the whole picture of the poem. Okay, actually, I would like to get you a simple explanation in Malayalam itself before going to the whole session in normal way. Like we will not compromise the medium of instruction, but the whole picture. എന്താണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്? ഒരു സ്പീക്കർ, നമ്മൾ കാണുന്ന പോയറ്റ് ഒരു കൺട്രി ചർച്ച്യാർഡിൽ ഒരുപാട് ആൾക്കാരെ ബറി ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ അവരുടെ സെമിറ്ററി എന്ന് ഓർമ്മിച്ചാൽ മതി, അവിടെ നിന്നിട്ടാണുള്ളത്. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ ഓർമ്മിക്കുന്നത് എന്താണ്? ശരിക്കും ഒരു ഈവനിങ് ടൈം ആണെന്ന് ഓർമ്മിക്കുക. ഇറ്റ്സ് ഈവനിങ് ടൈം. ദെൻ ആ ആൾ ഓർമ്മിക്കുന്നത് ആരെയല്ല, സാധാരണ ആൾക്കാരെയാണ്, അല്ലാതെ വലിയ കിങ്സിനെയും ക്വീൻസിനെയും ഒന്നും അല്ല. ഈ പറയുന്ന സാധാരണക്കാര് ജോലിക്ക് ശേഷം വീട്ടിലേക്ക് പോകുമ്പോൾ ഓർമ്മിക്കുകയാണ്. എത്ര സിമ്പിളാണ് അവരുടെ ലൈഫ്. അവരിപ്പോ വീട്ടിലേക്ക് ഓടിച്ചെല്ലുമ്പോൾ അവരെ പിന്നെ എന്താ പറയാ, എക്സ്പെക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടും വെൽക്കം ചെയ്യാനിരിക്കുന്ന ആൾക്കാരുണ്ടാവും. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ. പക്ഷെ അതൊന്നും ആഫ്റ്റർ ദെൻ ഹി തിങ്സ് അബൌട്ട് ദിയർ ഡെത്ത്. ഇപ്പൊ ഇന്ന് ഈ മുന്നിലൂടെ പോകുന്ന ആൾക്കാരെ പോലെ ഓൾറെഡി മരിച്ചുപോയ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ബ്രെഡ് വിന്നേഴ്സ്, സിമ്പിൾ ആൾക്കാരുണ്ടാവൂലേ, അപ്പൊ അവര് അവരുടെ വീടുകളിൽ അവരെ കാത്തിരിക്കുന്ന അവരുടെ ബിലവഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള പേഴ്സൺസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. പക്ഷെ അവരുടെ ഒന്നും സ്നേഹം, അതായത് കുട്ടികൾ സാധാരണയാണെങ്കിൽ അവരെ ജോലി കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് വരുമ്പം ഓടി വന്ന് ഇവരുടെ മടിയിൽ കയറിയിരിക്കും. ഇതൊന്നും പക്ഷെ ഇനി എന്താണ്, ആഫ്റ്റർ ദിയർ ഡെത്ത് നോ വൺ ക്യാൻ റീകോൾ ദം, നോ വൺ ക്യാൻ ബ്രിങ് ദം ബാക്ക്. Some people may be thinking and lamenting over your death. Some people may be writing poems on the death. But ഇതൊന്നും തന്നെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റൂല, ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള മരിച്ചുപോയ ആൾക്കാരെ തിരിച്ചു കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ പറ്റൂല. പക്ഷെ അവരുടെ ലൈഫും സിമ്പിൾ ലൈഫാണ്, അറിയപ്പെടാത്ത ഒരുപാട് ലൈഫ് ഉണ്ടാവും. അതിനെപ്പറ്റി എഴുതാനാണ് ആർക്ക് താല്പര്യം? അവിടെ പോയിട്ട്. അങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ ഒരു എലിജി റിട്ടൺ ഇൻ എ കൺട്രി ചർച്ച്യാർഡ് ഫോർ സിമ്പിൾ ലൈഫ്സ്, നോട്ട് ഫോർ കിങ്സ് ആൻഡ് ക്വീൻസ്, not for the patronage of some rich people, but on simple lives he is writing. പിന്നെ എന്താണ്, അങ്ങനെ ഒരുപാട് കാര്യങ്ങൾ മറ്റുള്ളവരെ പറ്റി ആലോചിച്ചതിന് ശേഷം he is coming to think about his own. ഒരു കാര്യം അതാണ്, എല്ലാവരും സ്വന്തം ഡെത്ത് ആഫ്റ്റർ അങ്ങനെ മുഴുവനായി മറന്നു പോവാൻ അല്ല ആഗ്രഹിക്കുക. ആരെങ്കിലും ഓർമ്മിക്കണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആഫ്റ്റർ മൈ ഡെത്ത് സമൺ ഷുഡ് റിമെമ്പർ മീ എന്നാണ് എല്ലാവരും ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നത് എന്നാണ് ഗ്രേ പറയുന്നത്. എലിജിയിൽ, ഈ പറയുന്ന എലിജിയിൽ തോമസ് ഗ്രേ പറയുന്നത് ഓൾ ഹോപ്പ് ടു ബി റിമെമ്പേർഡ് എന്നാണ്. ഇതൊന്നും ഒന്നോ രണ്ടോ സ്റ്റാൻസയിലല്ല കവി പറയുന്നത്, ഒരുപാട് ലൈൻസിലൂടെയാണ് ഈ കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറഞ്ഞിരുന്നത്. ദാറ്റ്സ് വൈ ദിസ് പോം ഇസ് വെരി ലെങ്തി. പിന്നെന്താ, ഹി ഇമാജിൻസ് ഹൗ ഹി മൈറ്റ് ബി റികോൾഡ് ആഫ്റ്റർ ഡെത്ത്. ഇനി ഞാൻ മരിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എന്നെ എങ്ങനെയായിരിക്കും എന്നെ എപ്പോഴും കണ്ട് ശീലം. ഇപ്പം ഞാനിങ്ങനെ കുറേ ആൾക്കാർക്ക് വേണ്ടി ഓർമ്മിക്കുന്നത് പോലെ ഞാൻ ഇവിടെയൊക്കെ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ. അപ്പം ഞാൻ മരിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ എങ്ങനെയായിരിക്കും എന്നെ അന്ന് കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരുന്ന ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ആള് ഈ പറയുന്ന ഗ്രേനെ ഓർമ്മിക്കുന്നതായിട്ടാണ് എഴുതുന്നത്. ഒരാളിങ്ങനെ ഓർമ്മിക്കും, ഇന്നലെ വരെ ആ കവിയെ ഇവിടെ കണ്ടിരുന്നു, അയാൾ ഇവിടെയൊക്കെ വോണ്ടർ ചെയ്തിരുന്നു, എന്തൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടാ കാണാത്ത, എന്താ ഇപ്പൊ കാണാത്ത എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കും. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ വിചാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുമ്പോഴാണ് ഇയാളുടെ ഡെത്ത് പ്രോസഷൻ പോകുന്നത് കാണുക. മനസ്സിലായി? ഇപ്പൊ ഗ്രേ മരിച്ചതിന് ശേഷം ഒരാള് കുറെ ദിവസമായല്ലോ എല്ലാ ദിവസവും ഇവിടുന്ന് ഇങ്ങനെ നടക്കുന്ന ഒരാളെ കാണുന്നില്ലല്ലോ എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നതും, അതേ ടൈമിൽ ഇയാളുടെ ഡെത്ത് പ്രോസഷൻ പോകുന്നതും, യുനോ അത് ഡെഡ് ബോഡി വഹിച്ചിട്ടുള്ള യാത്രയാണ്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ അതിന് ശേഷം അവിടെ എന്തായിരിക്കും എൻ്റെ ഹെഡ്സ് ടോംബിൽ മേലെ എഴുതുക, വാട്ട് കൈൻഡ് ഓഫ് എ വേഴ്സ് മേ ബി റിട്ടൺ ഓൺ മൈ ഹെഡ് സ്റ്റോൺ. എല്ലാവർക്കും എഴുതണം എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു ഇൻ മെമ്മറി ഓഫ് യു, സംതിങ് ഷുഡ് ബി റിട്ടൺ എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിലാണ് പറയുന്നത് ഗ്രേ. അപ്പൊ ഇതൊരു യൂണിവേഴ്സൽ പ്രിഫറൻസ് ആണെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ് ഗ്രേ ആ പോയം എൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ഇപ്പൊ എനിക്ക് മാത്രമല്ല, എല്ലാവർക്കും അങ്ങനെ ഒരിക്കലും എല്ലാവർക്കും കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി മറവിയിലേക്ക് ഇങ്ങനെ പോകണം, ആരും എന്നെ ഓർമ്മിക്കേണ്ട ആഫ്റ്റർ ഡെത്ത് എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നതിനേക്കാളും ആൾക്കാർ തിങ്ക് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് ഭൂരിഭാഗം ആൾക്കാർക്കും എന്താണ് ആഗ്രഹം? ഷുഡ് ബി റിമെമ്പർഡ് ആഫ്റ്റർ ഡെത്ത്. Hope this form will be fine for you once I start explanation in the line by line form as we do usually. Okay, thank you so much. Some cutting.